Hello everyone. Here we are again with Cooking with Gigi. Anyway, so I've been on a little trip to Key West and had a really good time, but I'm happy to be home, ready to make something new. How exciting. Now, these are chicken tenders that I'm gonna make in the air fryer, and you've got different stations of dipping that you need to dip it in. So I wanna tell you that I did put in about 1.5 cups of flour. And in that, I've added 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. So I'm gonna stir that around and get that well combined. And then this is gonna be the first thing that we're going to dip our chicken in. It's gonna be this flour mixture with the spices. And then we have another mixture of, I have 2 eggs mixed with, now you don't have to do this part, but I've learned this really is good, with about 3 tablespoons of hot sauce. So you can pick whatever kind of hot sauce you want, but I just happen to have Frank's. That's what I used. So I have my flour all mixed up, and I have my hot sauce ready to go with the eggs. It's been all mixed in there. You've got 2 eggs and you've got some hot sauce. And the third is going to be panko crumbs that I have added. And you know, some people don't do this, but I kind of like a little Parmesan cheese in mine. So I'm gonna mix that up. I have washed my hands. My hands are clean, but I'm gonna be eating this, so that's okay. You know, it's my supper. All right, so we have 3 dredging stations here. I have prepared a cookie sheet that I have put parchment paper on. And I'm going to lightly put a little Pam on the cookie sheet, okay? I'm just gonna spray it lightly. It doesn't need much, so just a light coating of that. All right, so I'm gonna start doing my chicken. I have patted my chicken. I took chicken breasts and I cut them into my own chicken tenders. You can buy chicken tenders already prepared, but I just cut my own. So now I'm going to go ahead, because I pat them dry with paper towel. You don't want them to be really wet. And I'm gonna put this in the flour and seasoning mixture. I'm gonna do that. I'm getting it all coated with the flour. And then after I've done that, I will dredge it into this liquid mixture with the egg and the hot sauce. This is the egg and the hot sauce right here. I'm putting my chicken tender in that, okay? And now I have my other dry mixture of the panko crumbs and the Parmesan cheese that I'm gonna put over the chicken tender. As you can see, I'm just coating it right there with my fingers. Once I've done that, I'll take the chicken tender and shake it just a little to get the excess off. I'm gonna put it on my cookie sheet and make sure that as you're doing it, that you're leaving space in between your chicken tenders. You don't want them crowded because you want them to all get crisp and fry. I have set the oven on 375 air fryer. That's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and coat the rest of these chicken tenders like I just showed you, and I'll be right back. Okay, well, I'm back, and I have all of the chicken tenders coated with the breading. I dipped it in the flour first that had the seasoning, and then in the egg mixture with the hot sauce, and then the mixture of the Parmesan cheese that I shredded myself with panko crumbs. I did put a light coating of Pam on the parchment paper, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little spray of Pam on top of these chicken tenders. That'll help them crisp up a little bit. Okay, so I have that ready. My oven is on 375 air fryer. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven right here. They're gonna go in. And then we're gonna bake these on the air fry for 10 to 12 minutes. Now these are pretty good size chicken tenders. I took my whole chicken breast myself and I cut it into tenders. Now they were big chicken breasts, so I think one would have been enough, but I'll be eating some chicken for a little while, but I can eat it in different ways. I can make a wrap, or I can make a salad, or I can just eat it just like it is. So I'm gonna set my timer on my stove. I'm gonna put it on 10 just because I want to check it myself. And I do have a thermometer where I can check to make sure my chicken is done. Now, halfway between, in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna check it and I'm gonna turn them over. So we'll be back in just a few minutes and hopefully have some delicious looking chicken tenders. Okay, so a little surprise for the chicken. I'm going to make a special sauce to drizzle over the chicken that sounds so yummy, and it is. So I don't have enough honey to make the full recipe, so I'm cutting it in half. So the full recipe calls for a half a cup of honey, a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter, 3 cloves of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1 teaspoon Dijon mustard, and 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. It's all gonna go in my saucepan. So I'm gonna turn my saucepan on low. You want to melt your butter on low. I don't like to melt my butter in the microwave, as I think I've said. So we're gonna melt the butter and we're gonna add everything in here. I have here a 1/4 of a cup of honey normally, but I had to cut, it would be a half a cup, but I had to cut it in half because I did not have a half a cup of honey. So I need to get my little spatula to help get that honey out. So I'm gonna put in the honey into my saucepan. I already have the butter in there. You can see the stick of butter, okay? So here comes the honey. Get that all in there. And then I'm doing, instead of 3 cloves of garlic, I'm gonna do about 1.5 cloves of garlic because that's half of the recipe. All right, so I'm gonna guess on that. And I might put it in here so I make sure I don't get too much. I don't want it to be too garlicky. I'm using the liquid garlic, and that's okay. I think just about that much. I'm trying not to get too much. I've got about that much for 1.5 cloves of garlic, okay? All right, there we go. Now, I need a 1/2 tablespoon of soy sauce because I'm cutting it in half. Like I said, get my measuring. 1/2 tablespoon. Okay, let's see. Where's our 1/2 tablespoon? It's right here. So, okay, soy sauce. And then 1/2 tablespoon of the garlic. The mustard, so. Okay, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. So that's a 1/2, and I might go a little less than that just because I don't want it too hot. So there we are. Now then, we're gonna let that all kind of mix together, let it get good and hot. We're not gonna make it like boil or anything like that, but we're just gonna get it all melted together, get it hot. So I'm just stirring that all up. I'm gonna double check that I didn't leave anything out. So it's a 1/2 cup of honey, a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter, 3 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, and 1 teaspoon Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and I cut all that in half. So I'm gonna let this melt together, and I'm gonna have this for the drizzling on the chicken when it gets ready. Now I'm getting ready to check the chicken to see how it's looking. So the chicken is beginning to look a little brown. I'm gonna turn those over, and we're gonna let them bake for another 5 minutes maybe. I'll be right back. So here's what the chicken is looking like. It's beginning to look a little brown. It's getting done. I'm going to turn each one of them over and give them another little spray of Pam. And I'm going to put them back in the oven for about 5 more minutes so they can fully cook. Like I said, these are bigger chicken tenders than what probably they had called for. So I want to make sure I get my chicken done. turning them all over. They're looking pretty yummy. Okay, all right. I will be back with you in just a few minutes. Okay, so I'm spraying the top of the chicken tenders with the Pam so that helps them crisp up a little bit. And I'm gonna stick them back in the oven and we'll see what happens in a few minutes. My honey drizzling sauce is looking pretty good. It's getting all melted together. I'm gonna let it get a little bit hotter and then we'll have that to put on the chicken. Okay, everyone, I do have the chicken is out of the oven and I have my tester here and it's supposed to be at least 165 and 165 to 174. And they are all reading above 165. So I've checked them all. And that one's, yep. Plenty done. Here we go. All right, very good. Now, they're all done, and then I have my drizzling sauce. So I'm gonna put me one on a plate, drizzle some over it, and then I'm gonna let you know how it tastes. Okay, here I am with my chicken tender and I have drizzled the sauce over it. I haven't tasted it yet, so we'll see. It looks pretty hot. A little bit of spice to it. Sweetness. Wow. Chicken is tender, crispy on the outside. Wow. No, chicken is one of my favorite dishes. I love chicken, so I feel like I can never go wrong, but I want to find a good recipe for it. Okay, well, I do want to brag a little bit. I played pickleball for 2 hours and then had a 9-mile bike ride with a friend today. I'm trying to keep on moving. That's what we need to do. Motion is lotion. Have a wonderful evening. And thanks for tuning in to Cooking with Gigi. By the way, friends, if you enjoyed this little cooking show that I'm doing and liked this recipe, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.